I remember one podcast I was listening to, I think on Scott Needham's podcast, the dude was saying how for all of his products, he has 4 sets of images, so each season. And so like every quarter, they're changing their images to kind of match whatever season they're in. E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation. Hey, what's up, guys? It is your boy Kaj here with Josh.
What's going on, everybody?
Today, it is just the team. It's just the boys, and we are going to talk to you guys about how we grow our brand partners on Amazon. Obviously, you guys know we like to bring on a lot of guests, people who are selling primarily on Amazon or people who have agencies. But sometimes it's just cool just to talk. Me and Josh, we have a lot of experience ourselves, and we want you guys to hear our perspective on things as well. So today's episode, we're going to get a little bit more granular. So this is definitely going to have a lot of value for you guys, especially those of you who are currently doing brand direct or have aspirations to work directly with brands, and specifically not just the outreach side or how to find those brands, but once you have them locked in, how to actually provide additional value to them. So, Josh, I'll hand it off to you then. So talk to me just a little bit about like the kinds of brands that we're working with now, how we've helped grow them generally, the difference between, launching a new product versus improving an existing product, those kind of things. And then we can dive into some of the more topics that we had written down.
Yeah, for sure. I would say we work with, medium to small seller and brands. So brands that are doing anywhere from probably 30,000 a month to 40,000 a month. That's where we would like to stick to. We do work with a lot smaller companies as well, especially newer companies that are trying to launch. And we have kind of worked with a lot of companies in improving listing images and providing the ability for customers to buy multiple packs of these products. A lot of the individuals and companies that we work for, their products are often bought in a 2, 3, 4, 5 pack setting, and their listing only had a 1 pack. And so we've seen some demand on certain listings pick up with these new opportunities to buy product in bulk, which in turn makes it a little bit cheaper for the individual as well, buying the product, which makes them happier, etc. So I would say that's usually, and that has been a little bit of how we have helped develop certain brands' catalogs over time, as well as bring in products that they feel that would be good for Amazon. Sometimes they'll give us a new opportunity. So overall, that's kind of what we're working with right now.
Yep, great. Yeah, just to kind of summarize what you just said was adding multi-packs. That's been huge for us.
Yeah.
Because the customer gets a discount, and often the FBA fees are better. So for example, if someone's buying a single item of something, and let's say the FBA fee is $5 for 1 unit, if you create a 2-pack of that, the FBA fee is not going to be $10. It's probably going to be like 7 or 8, or maybe even closer to 5, depending on the kind of product. But it saves on the FBA fee for the seller. So then when we give the customer a discount on, buying 2 versus buying 1 on the 2-pack, we actually are still profiting more because the FBA fee is lower. So that's good for the brand, good for the customer, good for us. And secondly, launching some new products on Amazon as well if their whole catalog isn't on Amazon. And we've done that for quite a few products so far. Yeah. So I guess my next question for you is maybe talk to people about the differences in what we have to do when we are working with a brand that already has existing products and listings and sales on Amazon versus a brand that is just getting launched from scratch.
Yeah. I think that's an important kind of difference because, you often have a lot of or some demand for products that are already on Amazon, which is super helpful for us because we know exactly how much we should probably order every month or every other month, depending on how much stock we want to keep at a time. And it's rather simple to kind of, keep with the momentum that the product has already. Which is basically, potentially running just a nice light auto campaign, capturing additional sales as we continue to go, updating potentially, again, those images, making sure they're crystal clear. Maybe they're adding new information that wasn't on them before, adding multiple photos if there wasn't some on there before, changing the listing a little bit to kind of maybe add some extra keywords that they might be missing in those bullet points, and kind of cleaning up that listing a little bit can really go a long way in improving rank and all that kind of stuff, especially with the advertising. If you continue to push some of that auto campaign advertising, can really help kind of boost sales rank. And I think the other thing that we're running into is being on a listing for a certain amount of time allows some of our products that are more consumable to have a subscribe and save. So
Talk to them about the subscribe and save, baby.
The subscribe and save game is awesome. And it's kind of really cool to see, as you're working with a brand, as you continue to order products, that subscribe and save count continue to just go up and up and up and up. And you kind of know that, you could be getting, a fair amount of demand from those subscribe and save. Obviously, individuals that go into the Amazon app have the ability to kind of choose how they want, Amazon to send them the subscribe and save, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. So they kind of have a little bit of flexibility there, but it's really cool and it kind of almost like facilitates the idea that people come back on Amazon to buy the product again, and they're going to come back and buy the product again because they're on the subscribe and save. So it's really cool to see like the trend over time. And so that's been a really killer for us for the consumables, because it just allows us to continue to understand demand and how that fluctuates over time, and to build momentum. Again, all these listings, it's like so important that you build momentum, making sure that you're in stock, making sure you never run out of stock, all that sort of stuff really helps build momentum. Yeah.
The worst thing is if you are the only seller and you're out of stock. It's killer. And that did happen to us once on one of our top selling products, and we didn't even really get completely out of stock, but the check-in time, and it's not even like it was Amazon's fault, like we just didn't get product in soon enough, but we never went fully out of stock, but we were back ordered, and you can see in the sales rank how it jumped like 30K just because our FBA offer was back ordered and not available for next day shipping. And then once it was available for next day shipping, it went right back to where it should be. So that's like so important.
Yeah, especially, and like having enough stock so that like even if your product does go into FC transfer, all that stuff, like that's pretty big as well. So kind of keep in mind, a lot of people can get super granular on like how much they're going to order and be like, oh, it's going to arrive on this exact day and this exact time, when FC transfer can easily kick in. And then next thing you know, you're 2 weeks out of stock for some reason because it's floating somewhere in the United States, going to all the different warehouses.
Yep.
But
and
launching,
this is another thing just to kind of, because I tweeted this the other day about how we've pretty much only been doing minimal or partial splits when we're doing shipments, and that's part of the reason why, because the last thing we need to happen is like if we place a big order and it's like a month plus worth of inventory, we send it in and then all of that inventory gets lost because one warehouse decided not to check it in, then you're screwed. Versus you split it up to 5 different warehouses, and it's like, okay, maybe 1 or 2 of them might have a longer check-in, but at least 3 or 4 of them should have a pretty normal process, and then there's just a higher likelihood that you're not going to end up in that situation.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Now, kind of getting back to it, it's like when you launch a product that is completely new to Amazon, you have to gauge and kind of guess how much organic volume there is. And it might not show up on Amazon in terms of like keyword research and all that kind of stuff. You might not find a lot there, but usually if someone is buying a product from a certain brand, they have the ability that they might buy another product from the same brand, especially in the consumable category. So keep in mind, you might do some really good keyword research on the back end, but again, you might still have a little bit of organic traffic that does come your way because you do list something on Amazon. So, for one of our products, it pretty much had almost zero keyword research. and we ended up launching this product, and we have actually run advertising for this specific product against the other brand's products. So when they go and click on the product that usually sells a lot during the month, they're seeing an ad for that other product as well. So that was just to see if we can get additional eyeballs from people who usually buy from that brand on another product from that brand, to see if they would buy it. And it's had limited success, I would say, but it has gone decently well with ads.
Yep.
It is successful, but
it is profitable.
It is profitable. We're not getting hundreds of sales from it, and slowly, hopefully, that will trickle out over time, and people will get used to that product being on Amazon, because that's not always the case, and it takes customers a while to be able to find that product and all that stuff that goes in with first launching a product. For this product specifically, it's like usually you want to try to rank well in a certain category, and it's like the category that it's in is like very competitive. There's not a lot of like room for somebody new to come in and start stealing a whole bunch of customers, especially since it's in the consumable space. So it's like you kind of have to let the product take its course, and if people want it, they're going to buy it, and if they don't want it, they're not going to buy it at the end of the day. So obviously testing ads just to see if there's any keywords that might work well for it are good in the beginning, but that's just something that we have learned over the past, I would say, 2 to 3 months.
Yep, 100%. Well said. Yeah. So getting a little bit more granular into the listing. Let's talk about like what are the main things that we're working on from a listing perspective with these brands.
Yeah, listing I think the main thing that we're really working on is, I think title plays a big part in it, but I think what it really comes down to is images, and making sure the customer knows what they're going to get, the value that they're getting, and the end result of what they might feel, or the experience of emotion that they might feel while either consuming, playing with the product, or just having the product in general. So that's something that we have really kind of dialed in terms of continuing, even our listings are built out, continuing to like go over them from time to time, seeing what we might be able to change, finding a photo that maybe isn't as optimized as we would want it to be, making sure that images are clear on both desktop and mobile phone is really big, and making sure you stay in the dimensions that Amazon suggests is also going to help incredibly, because if you aren't going to be, a lot of people do shop on their phone as well, so just kind of keep that in mind.
I think it's like the majority now,
which is
insane.
Crazy, because I always shop on desktop.
I forget what the percentage is.
I never shop on phone. Yeah, it's nuts.
I want to say it's like 70% or more.
Yeah, which makes
I heard a statistic recently, but yeah.
Yeah, and it almost makes photos even like more important, just because it's like on the phone they're not going to see the small details that you might see in the photos, especially on desktop. So keep in mind there, like you want to stick to like your main selling points there, and try not to get those photos too congested, because honestly that could almost disrupt the message that you're trying to send to the customer as well.
Yep. Yeah, we had in the Wholesale Network Mastermind last night a guy who runs a pretty big and very successful advertising agency was presenting, and he was saying how one thing they've seen is like the first 3 images are the most important. The hero image, the main image, being the most important, because that really determines like if the customer is going to notice the product and click through in the first place. But apparently now, and I didn't even realize this because I don't do this, but I don't know if this is on mobile or desktop or both, but you can swipe through images before even clicking into the listing now, I think. Wow. Depending on how updated your app is. And so again, that just shows the importance of that first and second, and sometimes a third image too, because customers don't really look at, sure, they look at the title, but normally, especially if you're on mobile, you'll see like the branded name and then maybe the first few words, but you don't really see the whole title. No one really looks at the bullet points. That's mainly for SEO and keyword ranking. But when it comes down to customer decision, the majority of the customer decision is made from the images, and mainly the first 3 images. So like really making sure that hero image is super, super clean, really pops, stands out, and then image 2 and 3 really go into the main benefits of what that product has to offer.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, images are just so important, and I think they will always be important in terms of, like,
Yes.
they will always be the best. And like another thing that we're working on that we haven't really worked through quite yet is creating videos for these products as well, just to continue
Yes.
to add to the visual kind of effects that you can give individuals during the shopping experience.
Yep, exactly.
Now,
Yeah,
Josh-
and getting a little bit granular into figuring out how to develop these images, especially for people who aren't graphic designers, haven't done this before. When you are looking at a product and you're doing keyword research, and Josh, I'll let you talk more about keyword research, but once you find the keywords that are like the most relevant that you kind of want to rank for, looking at the competitors that are ranking number one or getting the most sales for those keywords, and then essentially just saying, looking at their listing and looking at the format that they have, and then you can find someone on Fiverr and just tell them to make that exact same template, but for your products with the text that you give them. And that's a really easy way to get those listings started. Now, are you going to get the most high quality? No, but you can probably get images that are like 70 to 80% of the way there. Like if you're going to pay for a US graphic designer, that's going to be really, really expensive, and at a certain point, you're going to need that when you scale. We're not quite there yet either, but you can get most of the work done and get results using that sort of method. And then just continue to test, right? Like your images are never going to be all the way fully done. I remember one podcast I was listening to, I think on Scott Needham's podcast, the dude was saying how for all of his products, he has 4 sets of images. So each season. And so like every quarter, they're changing their images to kind of match whatever season they're in. And it depends on the brand, because if it's a product that's like super giftable around Christmas time, they're going to edit those images to like show that it's giftable, that it's a good holiday kind of thing. But yeah, there's always ways to update, tweak to make sure that you have the highest conversion rate and click-through rate.
Yeah, that's really key. And that's crazy. 4 sets of photos. That's wild.
Yeah, we're also not quite there yet, but it's an idea I have in the back of my head.
It's like, what if they have like the same season all year long? What if they're in Florida? Like, it's just hot all year long. Must be more for like holidays and stuff. I guess that would make more sense. Talk to us a little bit about like, title, bullet points, gosh, and like how you go formulating what you feel is the best kind of keywords to add in and all that kind of stuff for those title and bullet points.
Yep. Yeah. So still learning here, would not call myself an expert. But the things that I've kind of gathered and have seen effectiveness with is making sure that there is a strategy and alignment between the keywords in the title, in the image, and in the bullet points, and also in advertising. Because if you're spending advertising on keyword A, but then your second and third images only have keyword B and C, and then your title and bullet points have keyword D and E, the customer isn't going to really lock into what that search term is. Because Amazon really, if you're getting a new customer sale, it's based on search volume, right? So customers go to Amazon and they have a problem and they type in keywords associated with that problem to try to find a product that is the solution to that problem. So you need to have your product clearly explain, hey, we solve the problem that you are searching for a solution with. And so that's one, having alignment between the keywords and all of those things. And then really just try to figure out and I'll let you talk more about keyword research, but figuring out which keywords you really want to rank for and using those and variations of those in the title, images, bullet points, A+ content. And also and this doesn't necessarily have to go with the keyword side of it, but in the bullet points in the title, also just talking about the main benefits, and maybe, using other descriptives that might not necessarily be that specific keyword, but for the person who does really want to dig into the listing and read about it, they can at least actually get an understanding of what's going on with the product, what the benefits are. If it's a consumable, the ingredient list and stuff like that. And in the A+ content, another thing that I'm still learning, still taking in information, but on top of all of those things, also going into kind of like the brand story and more about the brand. And so what is what's like a mini origin story of the brand. Why does the brand exist? How is the brand, trying to help out in the space? What's different about them? Kind of going on that story side of things to maybe spark, some emotional response and get people to like what the brand as a whole is about as well.
Yeah, I really like that. That's like kind of like spot on what you want to do. Like, are you more of like the simple title guy, or are you more of like the complex title guy in terms of like trying to get every keyword you possibly can?
Yeah, I think the days of keyword stuffing your title, I think those are kind of over. I think customers like to be able to read the title and have it make sense. I think readability is really important. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to ranking, again, it's like you want your couple main keywords to be in the title. Josh's camera. We could cut this. But you want to try and read?
I thought I had it when if I like locked in.
I thought you did too.
Maybe I just gotta move closer, I guess. One closer. Not better. No, it's not better at all.
I feel like it's a little bit better, but it's definitely not all the way fixed.
I feel like it wants to. I don't know why it does this.
Have you ever tried just like taking the camera off and just moving the camera itself?
Sometimes I feel like I still have like plastic on it, but I'm like, no, that's not it. Alright, I had plastic on the top of it. I didn't have it on the camera.
Oh, just on the top. Okay.
I thought that was gonna work. I just keep going, does it? Just keep going.
All right, cool.
We'll survive.
Yeah. I forget. Oh, yeah. I feel like the days of keyword stuffing your title are kind of over.
Yeah.
And even from the research that I've been doing recently with some of our competitors of the products we're selling, it's like I'm looking at these brands that are selling thousands of units a month per variation, and their titles are not keyword stuffed.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the move anymore. I think as long as you have the keywords that you want somewhere in the listing and the keywords that you're mainly ranking for in those first 3 images, I think you'll be good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And for like keywords and stuff, we usually use Helium10.
Yep.
That's one of the websites we use, and I really like them because they kind of categorize keywords into like 3 main groups. You have like your organic rank, which is basically if someone just looks up a word and your listing pops up as number 1, that would be your organic rank. So that would be, you would be classified as organic rank 1. Obviously, people who are running ads can be in front of you because that would be sponsored rank. So if let's say you start bidding on a keyword like dog, toy, bird, and then you end up, let's say you put like $1 bid on it, and your sponsored rank is then like 4. You're like, all right, you might want to like kind of bump up potentially. If you're targeting the number 1 spot, you might want to bump up your bid to see if you can kind of get a better rank there. And so obviously sponsored rank kind of gets cycled in and out depending on, how much you spend, when you spend, and other people bids and how they are, if they're close to you, if they're not close to you. And again, obviously everything changes with like the different types of words you can bid on too. You could go like a broad search, and you could go like a phrase search, or you could go an exact search. Those are 3 different types of campaigns that you can do while advertising. Usually we stick to the auto campaign, which kind of does everything for us. We don't really have to kind of pick broad, phrase, or exact. It kind of figures out what's best for us based on our budget and what we're trying to bid on. Because the goal of that auto campaign is just to get you the best result it can possibly can while trying new things. So it might not be the exact best thing for you to do, but we found that through running lots of auto campaigns that there was keywords and or listings of competitors that we knew we might want to increase bids on based off of our auto campaign sales. So those are just different types of things you can look at when you are working with brands. We don't like to go crazy with obviously campaigns, because that could like pretty much eat up your profit real quick if you aren't looking at them, and you just kind of let them run the background, you want to make sure that you set your budget daily, and you set your bids appropriately for what you're trying to accomplish.
Yep. And maybe expound on the difference between broad phrase and exact match.
Yes.
And how those function.
So usually what you do is you kind of put in a word, let's say like dog, and let's say you have like a dog toy that you're trying to potentially sell. Your keyword might be like dog toy. And then if you hit broad, you can put it into a sentence. So if somebody, searches dog toy for big dogs, it might add it into that. If you do a phrase, it's like a very, very short phrase. So I think it's like anywhere from like 3 to 5 words. It's like very short. Usually what we like to use phrase for, if like someone's searching for like the brand and they for some reason search the brand and a couple more words, we like to use phrase for that. And then exact would be, they're exactly looking for, your keyword dog toy. So that's what you would be basically bidding on. Usually exacts give you the best in terms of like click ratios. You get like a lot of clicks with exact because the people are most likely looking for that keyword. You're trying to rank for that keyword because that product's in that specific category. So your bids can really run up pretty aggressively, and your daily spend can run up really aggressively if you decide to let Amazon decide
and
how much
bids
you
are
spend.
normally more expensive for exact, right?
Yeah, they're usually more expensive for exact, just because you're probably, or there's better likelihood that you're going to capture a sale there. But
yes,
if you find a long phrase keyword that no one else is really bidding on, sticking that into a campaign and running that as exact is also very critical to improve potentially your ad spend and how much you get back in sales. So
yep, well said. Yeah, and another thing I'll touch on quickly with the auto campaign is that's also a good research method, because the auto campaign is going to it's going to target other product listings, it's going to target random keywords, and oftentimes it's going to find something that you would not have found through your manual research. That's a good keyword to add into a broad campaign or in a phrase or an exact campaign that you can capture more sales from. So it's good to just always have auto campaigns running, because it's constantly doing research for you and finding new keywords and competitors to target. And like Josh said, running a low bid auto campaign, I mean, we always have one of those running, because you can capture sales for a 5-cent click, a 2-cent click, a 10-cent click. And it's the ROAS, the ROI on that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think a funny example was when we launched our double bat chamber. So it's like we launched a bat house with 2 chambers, right?
Yep.
Well, our auto picked up that triple chamber was a good keyword for us, because I guess
is that why we made the triple?
Yeah, and that's literally why we made the triple, because we were getting so much
that.
sales from the triple chamber keyword that we were like, oh, I guess we need to make a triple chamber. And it's like, what do you mean? You're selling the product for on the wrong listing. Like, they're gonna get it and probably return it, right? Well, it's like they may just look up triple chamber bat house, but obviously
they just want a bat house.
They just want a bat house. That works. They might not need the triple chambers, and then they find someone that's like, oh, it's like two chambers is way. 2 chambers is a lot cheaper than 3 chambers. I'll just go with the 2 chamber. Why not? And then next thing you know, you're getting a sale. So it's like those are like the weird ones where you're like, oh yeah, like I would have never thought of that, or I would have never done that, but it can actually be quite successful.
Yeah, that's a great example. I forgot about that. And also, just to maybe another point on keywords, talking about like the difference between long tail, short tail. So like using the bat house example, was one of our old private label products. Like bat house, just 2 words would be a short tail keyword. Very, very high search volume, but also the most expensive to run advertising on. But then once you're running advertising for bat house double chamber, now you're looking at like a mid tail to long tail keyword, not quite as much search volume, but less competitive in terms of pricing for advertising. And then if you get to like bat house double chamber brown, now it's even less search volume. But if you can, that's kind of the game you have to play. So figuring out like, okay, what's the short tail keyword that's like everyone's searching for when they're looking in this category, but it's going to cost me like 5 to $8 a click. And then from there, figuring out what are the long tail keywords associated with that short tail keyword that doesn't have as much search volume, maybe just a couple hundred a month, but then I can maybe win sales with like 50 cents to $2 a click. So it's a balancing act.
It really is.
And it's hard, especially when you're launching a new product that doesn't already have some sort of search volume.
Yeah, very hard, very challenging, and it just takes time to really accrue the amount of data that you need to be able to make good choices for your campaigns as well.
Yep.
So like you got to let it run for like a long time. Everyone's like, oh, like $10, do it for like a week. It's like, no, you got to do it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and that's when you get your like really good data. And not every day it's not gonna spend $10 every day, but having that auto advertising just continuing to run in the background is super helpful in trying to find keywords that work best for your product.
Yep. Yeah, another thing is it's hard to get a lot of data quickly when you have a limited budget.
Yeah.
So it's like the more you're able to spend, the faster you're going to learn, but that's also like a lot of that spend is just going to be chalked to research dollars. You're not really going to get a lot of sales from it, but it also just depends like on where you are as a business, right? Like we can only afford to spend so much on ads because we're reinvesting our own profits back into it, and margins are already slim, so there's only so much we can spend on ads. Versus if if the brand's giving you additional ad spend, then it's like, all right, we're just going to spend this. Obviously, we're not going to waste it on purpose. We're going to do our due diligence, but then that'll help us figure out which keywords are giving us the best ROI quicker.
Yeah, 100%.
Great. Awesome. Well, we had said this was going to be a 15 to 20 minute conversation. We're 30 minutes in. I did just want to let the listeners know we do have a discount for Helium10 if anyone is interested in trying out that software. So I'll link that in the description. You can get either 10% off every month lifetime or 20% off for 6 months. I believe there's also a free trial as well. Code for that one is either Kaja10 or Kaja20, and again, link will be in the description. You can find me at Kaja Robinson. Josh, where can people find you on the internet? I'll ask that question.
No, nowhere actually. 0 right now. I might make a comeback. I might. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, go give Ecom Unlimited a like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. To stay updated on all of our new stuff and all of our new episodes. And we will see you on the next one.
Peace.